Another British police officer has been attacked, this time by a migrant. And yet, as predictable as ever, the government remains tight-lipped when it comes to releasing crime statistics that might expose the scale of the problem. Why the secrecy? Why the refusal to acknowledge what so many on the ground already know? Could it be that the numbers don't align with the politically convenient narrative of mass migration being nothing but a net positive? Time and again, the public is told to move along, that there's nothing to see here. But the reality on Britain's streets tells a different story. One of rising crime, overstretched police forces, and communities left to fend for themselves. If the government has nothing to hide, then release the data. Until then, the silence speaks louder than any official statement ever could. Watch this video.
Why you pull over, right? You're okay. Why you want to put me in? Go for rest. What you want from me? What you want? What you want from me, man? What you want from me? What you want? What do you want from me? I'm on the floor. What do you want? What do you want from me?
The UK government is ramping up its war on knife crime with the toughest crackdown yet on online weapon sales. Under new Home Office rules, retailers who sell knives to minors could face up to 2 years behind bars, as ministers respond to growing concerns that deadly blades are easier to buy than everyday medicines. It's a shocking reality. As Metropolitan Police Commander Stephen Clayman put it, bizarrely, it is harder to buy paracetamol in some respects than it is to buy a knife. And that can't be right. And he's not wrong. For too long, criminals have exploited loopholes in online sales, stockpiling weapons with zero accountability. The government's latest measures aim to slam shut the door on this reckless trade by requiring online sellers to report suspicious bulk purchases and implementing a registration system for responsible knife retailers. This crackdown isn't just about preventing gang violence. It's about stopping horrific, senseless killings like that of 16-year-old Ronin Kanda, a victim of mistaken identity who lost his life to a ninja sword purchased online with no proper ID checks. His mother, Pooja, has been relentless in her campaign for change, demanding to know, how was this allowed? She's not alone. Police chiefs are sounding the alarm about the grey market of social media, fueled weapons sales where dealers advertise on platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and Snapchat before moving to encrypted apps to finalize transactions. It's a wild west of illegal sales where age verification is practically non-existent. Take the case of Reyes Nebil, a teenage drug dealer who ordered 65 knives online using an account set up in his mother's name. Among his haul, kukris, bayonets, and hunting knives, all sold on for profit. And yet, there was no legal requirement for the retailer to notify police about these bulk purchases. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper is making it clear, this government will not stand by as young lives are lost. She's pledged to halve knife crime over the next decade and is rolling out Ronin's Law, a policy aimed at finally bringing order to an online marketplace that has spiraled out of control. But the real question remains, will these new measures be enough? For years, criminals have outpaced the law, exploiting loopholes in online retail and lax enforcement. While today's crackdown is a step in the right direction, it must be matched by robust enforcement, tech company accountability, and severe penalties for those who ignore the rules. Anything less, and we risk another tragedy. And another grieving family asking, why didn't they act sooner? Denmark's zero refugee success. A lesson in migration control for Stormer. While Britain grapples with a relentless influx of asylum seekers, one European nation has quietly done what many deemed impossible, drastically reducing asylum claims to near zero. Denmark, a country with a left-of-center government, has taken an unapologetically tough stance on migration, slashing asylum approvals by nearly 90 since 2015. Last year alone, Denmark approved just 860 asylum applications. Compare that to the UK's staggering 50,000 in the same period. So, here's the question. Why is Denmark succeeding where Britain is failing? Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen has defied traditional political expectations by taking a firm, results-driven approach to migration, proving that decisive action on asylum isn't just a right-wing issue, it's about national stability and security. She has rescinded residency permits, implemented strict border measures, and introduced policies like the controversial anti-ghetto law, which aims to reduce non-Western populations in certain areas by 30. Her government has made one thing clear: Denmark decides who comes in, not smugglers, not open border activists, and not foreign criminal networks. Meanwhile, in Britain, illegal channel crossings continue to spiral out of control. Since Sir Keir Starmer took office, over 25,000 migrants have been detected crossing the English Channel, with 1893 arrivals in just the first few weeks of 2020. At this rate, the UK is set to match or exceed last year's record high crossings, all while taxpayer-funded accommodation costs skyrocket and border enforcement remains sluggish. The British government insists it is serious about tackling illegal migration. A Home Office spokesperson declared that they will stop at nothing to dismantle people smuggling gangs. Yet, the numbers tell a different story. Words mean little without action. If Starmer is serious about fixing Britain's broken asylum system, perhaps he should look to Denmark, where a government that once struggled with migration is now leading the way in decisive, effective reform. The message from Copenhagen is clear. Political will is the only thing standing between chaos and control. The British taxpayer has just been handed another 4-year extension on footing the bill for asylum seekers housed in hotels. Despite promises to end the use of taxpayer-funded accommodation, Labour's Home Office now admits that asylum hotels will remain in use until at least 2029, kicking the can further down the road as costs spiral out of control. Let's put this into perspective. Spending on asylum accommodation has skyrocketed from $739 million in 2019-20 to a staggering $4.7 billion in 2023-24. That's a 6-fold increase. Yet the government's best response: more delays, more indecision, more taxpayer money poured into a system that rewards illegal entry while the British public struggles with a cost of living crisis. Labour, of course, originally pledged to end hotel use within a year, provided they could hire 1,000 new caseworkers to clear the asylum backlog. But now we hear from Home Office Permanent Secretary Sir Matthew Rycroft that the new goal is to exit hotels by the end of this Parliament, meaning another 4 years of sky-high accommodation costs and an overwhelmed asylum system. It's no surprise the numbers keep climbing. Last year, hotel use peaked at 400 sites, housing 56,000 asylum seekers. While the number briefly dropped, it's creeping back up, with 220 hotels still in use as of October 2024. And where's Labour's tough stance on illegal migration? Nowhere to be found. Instead, Reform UK Rupert Lowe has summed up their solution in one brutal sentence: grant almost all illegal migrants refugee status. This means access to housing, welfare, NACE services, and more. Effectively fast, tracking illegal entrants into permanent UK residency. Meanwhile, Home Secretary Yvette Cooper claims the government is tackling the issue with more deportations and a crackdown on people smuggling gangs. Yet the reality is clear. Labour is normalizing a system where illegal entry equals guaranteed accommodation, funded by the British taxpayer. Denmark and other European nations have proven that tough asylum policies work. So why is the UK still running a blank check migration system when the costs and public patience have already hit breaking point?